All right, everyone. We are going to do a little meditation on emptiness here. I think everybody here has done teachings with Geshe-la, haven't they? I don't think there's anyone here that doesn't know what that term means. Hi, Dani. Welcome. In the morning, it's always kind of amazing to see the West Coast people, and in the evening, it's always kind of amazing to see the East Coast people. So there we go. And then everyone else in between. Okay, so what time is it? We're on the hour. Let's just settle into our meditation posture. And whether you've been up for 5 minutes or for half an hour or for 2 hours, just try and bring your mind onto your cushion or your seat, the space where you are sitting. And whatever it is you're bringing into the room today, just know that it's all okay. And check your sitting posture, starting with the feet. Make sure they're hips width apart and your sits bones are slightly raised. And in terms of your hands, you can have them resting in your lap in the traditional meditation mudra. For our tradition, that's right hand nestled in the left with the thumbs touching, resting on your lap, on your thighs, however is comfortable for you, I think, for this half hour. Shoulders are aligned with the hips. And just imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light, stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. So you just very gently lengthening the spine, putting some space in between those vertebrae. And the head is very slightly tipped forward. You're hinging your head forward. You're not allowing that bowling ball of a head to pull you forward, your shoulders forward. You want to stay nice and lengthened, nice and aligned. So it's just a hinge. You might feel a bit of a stretch in the back of the neck, but it's not too far down. If your head is kind of back and your chin is up, that creates agitation in the mind. If your head is too far forward, we're all just going to fall back to sleep. So you don't want your chin on your chest or in your throat. Eyes are down, looking along the length of the nose until the tip of the tongue is on the roof of the mouth, and relax the jaw. And just bring your mind to the crown of the head and just release any tension there. Just feel it all just wash away. Relax the forehead and the eyes, the nose, the cheeks. Relax the back of the head and the ears, and go inside your ear with your mind. And just imagine you're shining a little torch in there. And the heat of the torch just relaxes your inner ear. Relax the back of the jaw or the back of the tongue. And move to the back of the neck and just release any tension there. All the while you're lengthening. Allow your shoulders to drop down. And release any tension in the back, the throat, the chest, the belly, the limbs, hands, fingers, and feet and toes. Bring the mind to the breath. And just notice the sensation of the air as you're inhaling and exhaling. You can just feel the air flowing across the outside of the nostrils and maybe in, touching the hairs on the very inside of the nostrils. Just very slight, subtle sensations. And if there are any sounds in your environment, just allow those sounds to be there. And try not to follow them with your mind. Bring your mind back to the breath. Now notice what thoughts are arising. Usually we're less stimulated in the mornings mentally. Our minds are also a little bit sharper after a good night's sleep, if we've had one. So this is why it's actually quite good to do these kinds of meditations in the morning. We're just a little brighter. And usually, for me anyway, the sort of the delusions are a little bit less in the morning. But whatever is arising in the mind, just allow it to be there. Notice the temptation to follow a train of thought of busyness, of things. You may have a list of things you have to do today. So just let that list for the moment just float away. It'll be there when you're finished in half an hour. And try not to judge what's in the mind. When we put ourselves on the bank of our river, and just watch that river flow by. And we're sitting there dry and free from the river. So bring to mind some people of your life. And given that we're doing this almost every day, again, ponder the likelihood of the categories, the people inside the categories changing. Whether they have changed. Those ones you really, really love. Those ones who are difficult for you, who are not the ones you love. And then those strangers. And remembering they can change place at any time. Also remembering I have this unbelievable capacity for this enlightened mind. So we're all equal. We all want to be happy and we all don't want to suffer. So we'll do this meditation on emptiness this morning for the benefit of all these people of our life, all sentient beings. And we think of Lorraine's father-in-law, Thomas, who's passed. And this will be us one day. And maybe we won't have a group of people making a dedication for us, or maybe we will. As Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, if you don't take care of people when they've passed away, who's going to take care of you? So it's always really good to think of and dedicate for and do mantras for and prayers for the people who have passed. So before we start, just bring your mind to the breath. Just notice the sensation of the air flowing in and flowing out. Just keep bringing the mind back to the breath. When it wanders, try and catch it. Bring it back without judgment. And we're looking for a place where we can find the stillness that is within all of us. Keep the mind on the breath. So we see things, mostly we see things as solid, concrete. They exist in and of themselves and from their own side, having their own nature, and quite independent of causes and conditions and parts, and quite independent of our own mind experiencing them. So, say a house, we see a solid, independently existing house standing there. And it's so obviously a house, it's kind of ridiculous to even question it. But where is the house? You imagine you start to take apart the house you're living in. And it's lying there in pieces on the ground, separate parts. Imagine you have one of those, kit houses that comes in the back of a truck. Before they put it together, they lay it all out. Now see if you can find the house. Is it one of the windows? Is it one of the walls? Is it the roof? Is it the nails that hold it together? Or even one of the atoms, molecules, that's part of the material that the house is made of? And if you keep going and investigating this, you're going to discover that you simply cannot find the house that you think is there. And it doesn't mean it's not there at all. But there is a dependently existing, changing from moment to moment house there. The house that we merely label into its parts. But this is not what we see. And this is the crux of the problem. And we don't see the bare reality of each thing and each person, but we see an exaggerated, filled out image of it projected by our own mind. This is a mistake that marks every one of our mental experiences, and it's instinctive, and it's the very root of all of our problems. And we start by misapprehension of ourselves. We are composite of body and mass of flesh and bones and skin and cells and atoms and a mind stream of thoughts and feelings and perceptions. And this composite is conveniently known as Mary or Coral or Rain, woman or man, and it's a temporary alliance that ends with the death of the body and the flowing on of the mind to other experiences. And this can be a little unsettling. Part of us, part of our ego, we're craving security and immortality, and we invent an inherent permanent self. And it's not deliberate or conscious. It's taking place deep in our subconscious mind. And this fantasy self appears especially strongly when we get excited or fearful. If we, say, very narrowly escape an accident that would have been quite dangerous, that powerful sense of an I that nearly suffered death or pain must be protected. And that I is the one that doesn't exist. It's a hallucination. And this adherence to this false I, known as self-grasping ignorance, taints all of our dealings with the world. We're attracted to people and places and situations that gratify and uphold our self-image, and react with fear or animosity to whatever threatens it. You can see that really clearly when people start to see other people differently because of their skin or the way they practice their religion or the way they've identified their gender. Becomes threatening to people. And then problems arise. And we view all peoples and things as this way or that way. And thus this root grasping branches out into attachment, jealousy, anger, arrogance, depression, ignorance, and myriad turbulent, unhappy states of mind. So the idea is to eliminate this ignorance with a wisdom that realizes emptiness in everything we experience, and to recognize the false qualities we project onto things. And this is how we can transform our mind. And while this sounds pretty abstract, it's kind of relevant to our lives. And the first step towards understanding is to try and get an idea of what it is we think exists. To locate, for example, the I that we believe in so strongly, and then by using clear reasoning in analytical meditation, to see that it's just a fabrication, something that has never existed and could never exist in the first place. But we don't throw it out completely. We definitely exist. Trees definitely exist. There is a conventional, interdependent self that experiences happiness and suffering, and that works and studies and sleeps and meditates and becomes enlightened. And the most difficult thing initially is to distinguish between the fabricated I and the valid I. And usually we cannot tell them apart. So once we get to a very focused and concentrated place in meditation, it's possible to see the difference, to recognize the illusory I and eradicate our long habituated belief in it. So here what we're doing is trying to take a practical step in this direction. So we're going to, just with the alertness of a private investigator, slowly and carefully become aware of that I. One of the ways I like to use is when we were sitting in the Gompa at Kopan, is just imagine you've left your room, for those of you who've been to Kopan, or maybe just imagine you're leaving your house, getting in your car, drive to work, and you get to work, and you sit down, you realize you forgot to get dressed. There you see your I. All of a sudden, there you are, completely naked. Everyone's staring at you. Completely inappropriate. That's where your I is, grasping at it. So who or what is it that thinks and feels and meditates? How does it appear to you? Is it a creation of your mind? Is it something that exists in a concrete way, independently in its own right? So try and locate where this I might be. Is it in your head, in your eyes, in your heart? Is it in your stomach, your feet? Carefully consider each part of your body, including your blood vessels and nerves. Can you find your I? It must be very small. maybe subtle, so perhaps consider the cells. And if you do think your mind is the body, your eye, is the body, part of the body, what would happen if that part was cut off or removed in an operation or damaged in an accident? And what happens to the eye when your body ceases to function at death? Perhaps your mind is the eye. It's a constantly changing stream of thoughts, feelings, and other experiences coming and going. It's never the same from one moment to the next. So which of those experiences is the I? Loving thought, happy thought, depressed? So if you think one of those experiences is your I, what happens when you're no longer depressed or you're no longer happy? But it's not present in your mind anymore. Does the I go somewhere else? Does it change? Is there no I there at that time? Or maybe you have many eyes. And if you can't find the I in your body or your mind, then could it be something else? Is there an extra part of you? After all, we say my body and my mind, implying the existence of something else that owns these two. If so, what is it? And where can it be found? And after searching for the I, do you notice any change? Do you feel that it's still as solid and real as you felt before? Does it still appear to exist independently in and of itself? So now mentally disintegrate your body. Imagine all the atoms separating and floating apart. Billions and billions of minute particles scattering throughout space. And now disintegrate your mind. Let every thought, feeling, and sensation, perception float away. Now check I. Where is it? So don't make the mistake of thinking my body does not exist. You do exist, but not in the way you instinctively feel, something independent and inherent. Conventionally, your self exists in dependence upon mind and body, and this combination is the basis to which conceptual thinking ascribes the name I or self. Mary, Lou. And this is the you that is sitting and meditating and wondering, do I exist? So whatever exists necessarily is dependent upon causes and conditions or parts and names for its existence. A cat, a car, product from IKEA. It comes in a box, lots of different parts. We have to put them together. So conventionally, things exist dependently, and understanding dependence is the principal cause for understanding their ultimate nature. Your mind, your body exists in dependence upon skin, blood, bones, legs, arms, organs, and so forth. Your mind exists in dependence upon thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, sensations, previous conscious thoughts. Now go back to the feeling of self or I. Think about how you exist conventionally in dependence upon mind and body and name, the self's parts. When the body feels hungry or cold, you think I'm hungry or I'm cold. When the mind has an idea about something, you say, I think. When you feel love for someone, you say, I love you. When you're introducing yourself, you say, I am so-and-so. Apart from this sense of I that depends upon the ever-flowing, ever-changing streams of body and mind, is there an I that is solid, unchanging, and independent? The mere absence of such an inherently existing I is the independence of the self. I'll just conclude the meditation today by dedicating sincerely any positive energy and insight you've gained into the enlightenment of all beings. And just think this meditation, this way of thinking, is just one step along the path to finally achieving direct insight into emptiness and cutting the root of suffering and dissatisfaction. Okay, everyone. Something to think about for the day. Lots of love. Thank you very much for joining me. And I will see some of you this evening. Okay, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks for hosting.